Hi guys, it's Mary McIntyre. Welcome back to my channel. Today is the 12th of March, which means I'm probably 4 weeks too late to catch the thing that I'm intending to catch in tonight's video. It's the first time that we've had no moon and a clear night where I'm actually free. So the sun is going to set very, very soon, and I'm going to head out to a site just up the road where I've got a really good clear view of the western horizon because I'm hoping to catch the Zodiacal Light. I haven't caught it at all yet this year. The last time was end of February last year, maybe the first couple of weeks of March. So what the Zodiacal Light is a cone of light that extends up from the horizon, pointing perpendicular towards the Milky Way. So it's best viewed when the ecliptic is higher than it is now, and the ecliptic is starting to dip a little bit. So I may not get this. When it's going to be just the top half of the cone, it's really difficult to know whether what you're picking up is the zodiacal light or light pollution. And where I live, there are quite a few pockets of pretty horrendous light pollution around. So I'm going to give it a try anyway. If you don't know what zodiacal light is, it's basically sunlight reflecting off interplanetary dust. The space in between all the planets is not empty. There's bits of dust, and that dust is constantly being replenished by asteroids hitting each other and dust just being created and just being there. Then there's this kind of backscatter from these really microscopically small dust grains. So it's kind of really cool what it actually is. And sometimes you can see it naked eye if you know what you're looking for. It's not super obvious, but it does show up more on pictures, especially when I stack pictures, then it starts to stand out a bit more. But even then, from where I live, it tends to only be visible with averted vision. Even on the photograph, averted vision kind of helps you because the cone of light is very, very subtle. I'm going to try first of all with my trusty 10mm wide angle lens. That might be too wide an angle now. Normally the zodiacal light is such a big cone that I need this to get all of the cone in the shot, but it might be that the cone is now so low that this lens is not ideal. So I will have my 18 to 55mm lens in just in case, because it's 1 f-stop faster. So I like that lens for faint things because of that extra f-stop. This only goes down to f4.5, whereas my kit lens does f3.5, and that 1 f-stop does make a big difference. But I'll take both. I've cleaned my camera sensors today because I'm fed up of taking pictures and looking at them on the big screen and then being covered in Yeti's footprint. So I don't know where the dirt comes from on my sensors, honestly. But I've cleaned them, so hopefully that'll be okay. And I'm using a tripod that I picked up from the charity shop a while ago, and it's significantly more sturdy than my previous tripods that I still do use, but this is way more sturdy. And given that where I'm going to be is at the side of a busy road, there could be like eddy currents from big lorries passing that could wobble the camera, so I'm hoping that won't be the case. So sun has just set. It's going to be a while before it's dark enough, but I'm just getting everything together so that I'm ready as soon as it's dark enough. I'm going to go up there long before it's ready, just so I can focus my camera, maybe get a glimpse of Venus as well, which is going to be low down in the west, and then fingers crossed that I will get something. The cats have been fed, so they'll be okay for a bit. They can manage an hour without more food, so we're all good. I'll talk to you again when I get up to my site. Okay, I've arrived. A lot of traffic noise, not sure if the microphone's going to block that out, but I can see Venus. There's Venus very low over there in the west. It's beautiful. So I'm trying to get my bearings here, and I think the zodiacal light is going to go from around about here up to about here as soon as it gets dark enough. The problem is this main road is like literally here, and you'll see the car headlights are so bright when they go past that I'm not sure if that's going to actually trash my pictures. So I'm going to have to do a few exposures and actually see what's going on. It may be that I have to tip upwards and miss the bottom of it just to avoid that, but I suspect with full beam on there's going to be some glare, which is not ideal. But if I go anywhere else in my village, basically too much of the sky is going to be cut off. But especially by the time it gets dark, the band of the zodiacal light is going to be lower. So Looking at it, it's not as low as I thought it was going to be, but I was looking at it the other day from my garden, and in my garden I'd already left it too late, and also we live in a very low dip, so it was definitely too low to get from our garden. But from here I've got more of a chance. I'm just hoping that I get enough gaps where there are no cars and I don't have to deal with modern LED headlights, which are so obscenely bright that they could basically x-ray an elephant from 100 miles away. Yeah, I hate driving with modern lights. Okay, it's much quieter when the cars have gone past. So yeah, I'm enjoying my view of Venus. I've taken a few shots. It is freezing. Very glad that I have lots and lots of layers on. I'm not sure if my phone will pick it up, but there's Sirius. And if we pan up, that is Jupiter. So Jupiter's nice and bright, so that's awesome. So that helped me get my bearings when I got up here. It's always amazing because from my garden, Sirius is so low that you can barely see it, but from here, being higher and flat, it looks like it's super high in the sky, so that's awesome. I might do some Sirius squiggles just while I'm waiting for it to get dark. So yeah, I took a few pictures with my zoom lens of Venus, so I've got that. That's sinking lower now, which is cool. So yeah, just gonna have to wait. I'm gonna put my gloves on now because I am genuinely freezing. So I'm gonna put my gloves on and just wait probably another 15 minutes, and then I'll start taking pictures and see how I get on. Okay, I've set up my wide angle lens and my kit lens now, and I'm sure you're struggling to see it on the back of the camera, but there's definitely a cone of light there. I underestimated how busy this road was going to be at this time on a Saturday. It's horrendous. The passing traffic is awful, but I'm going to keep going with this lens. I'm going to go and check the other camera. That extra f-stop really does make a difference. So I was struggling to see it on camera, but honestly, the brightness of some of these headlights is just awful. So I'm going to take pictures to stack with both lenses. Should have left my car headlights on. It would make people turn their full beam off. I've swapped batteries on this camera, so let's have a look if I'm getting anything on this one. So the difference in field of view is huge. So there is a faint cone coming up, stopping just to the right of the Pleiades. I can now see it. I couldn't before. Visually, I think I can. I thought I could see something, and then when I saw the photographs it was in the same place, but my brain could be inventing that. But I'm going to keep going with both lenses, different field of views, and just keep going with that. It's taken ages for that to actually show up. Yeah, there's a lot of thin cloud around as well, which is really not helping. The traffic is awful. I'm going to keep going with both lenses, and then when I stack the images, hopefully things will show up a little bit better. And I have definitely got some lens flare in some of the images, unfortunately, so some of them will have to be omitted from the stack. I've taken the exposures down a little bit from what I normally would, just on the principle that I might get lucky with more of them if they're shorter, where I don't have cars interfering. Right, I'm so happy that it stayed clear and I can actually see it. When the cars go away, visually I can definitely see it now. You can't on my phone, but I can see it now, definitely, with averted vision. Not direct vision, but with averted, I can see it. So excite. I am very, very happy that it was worth freezing my absolute bits off for this, because it is so cold. So cold. Okay, I've had a look at the images. It's now 2 days later from when I filmed my vlog, and I don't love them. The Zodiacal Light is there if you know what you're looking for, but the sky quality was actually way poorer than I realised. The car headlights were definitely a problem. I had to exclude quite a lot of images from the stack, just purely because there were lens flare stuff happening, so it was just not great. So the pictures are there and I will show them you at the end, but tonight is actually due to be clearer. So it's now the 17th, so I'm going to go out again and have another go tonight. I've got some stuff I have to do work-wise in the garden tonight, so I can't go out, but actually going up to the road there was a bad choice. I need to find a better location for this time next year. Hopefully I'll be able to get the top of the cone from my back garden if I get out there as soon as the sky has got dark enough. I will take some images with the same settings, same camera. I can't decide which lens to use, so I'll just see what feels like it's working. Probably going to be the 18mm, to be honest, because I'm only going to be getting a bit of the light cone anyway. So I'll give it a go. I will stack them, and then I'll come together and bring all of the pictures together and talk to you at the end. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience. Definitely did get the Zodiacal Light though, so I'm really pleased about that. I was actually so grumpy about it. I just stayed away from the images yesterday because I was just like, no, I'm really grumpy about the fact that I made the effort to go out and try and do this, and the pictures were just not what I was hoping I was going to get, and that always makes me feel sorely disappointed. But yeah, it is in there. So I'm going to have another go tonight, and then I'll come back and talk you through all of the results, even the bad ones. And Charlie's going to help. Hey, Charlie Bean. Okay, it's now been 6 days since my first imaging session on this, and I'm going to just take you through some of the photographs. So this is a faint thing to capture even when conditions are good, and I've left it, as I said many times in this video, I've left it about a month too late to really get the Zodiacal Light at its best for this time of year anyway. So what's interesting is that averted vision helps you see it even in the images, not just visually, but in the photographs. And I find that when you're looking at the thumbnails of the photographs, the Zodiacal Light actually stands out way better. So I'm going to put pictures on screen at the side of me here. And first of all, I'm going to just show you a screenshot that shows you all 6 thumbnails. I'm going to talk about 5 images rather than 6, but in those thumbnails, it's really obvious that you can see that cone of light. So it is definitely in the images. It's just been very difficult to capture and pick out. So there's a couple of different processing things that I've done here, and I've stacked different numbers of images for each of these as well. And I used a couple of different lenses. So let's just go through one by one. First of all, this was the one that I took with the 10mm lens. This is the wide angle lens, and it's 20 images stacked. And this one, because it's got such a wide field of view, you get the whole of the cone, and that makes it actually stand out better. So this was the other way round from what I was expecting. I was expecting this lens being f4.5 and 1 f-stop like darker than the kit lens. I was expecting that the other would look better, but actually you can see the whole cone here, and it's not dominating the image. It's kind of a really obvious cone on the bottom of the picture, so you can kind of see it extending right up through the Pleiades and even beyond, actually, it looks like. So I quite like the picture. It's certainly not the brightest Zodiacal Light picture that I've ever captured, but it's worked and you can see it, so I do quite like that one. I stacked these in sequator, and I did the freeze foreground option so that the foreground stayed stationary while the images stacked. I've found over the years that stacking fewer images when you're photographing something near the horizon tends to work better, so I started with 20. Now, Sequator has a light pollution removal tool that you can double click and add into the images, and I did that with that image I've just showed you, and this was the result. Now, what this did was, it's actually really a very powerful tool, and I use it all the time for Milky Way photography. And actually you can see the winter Milky Way stands out beautifully in this picture, and actually the Andromeda galaxy is in both of these as well. This light pollution was quite aggressive, the amount of light pollution that it removed, and it did leave my images feeling very textured and very noisy. But that said, the Zodiacal Light just popped so brightly in this picture. This is by far the most obvious cone of light from the Zodiacal Light here, even with that ribbon of cloud running through the top of it. And I actually really like that picture, although it's far from perfect, because the cone is just so much more obvious in that one. The next one is taken with my 18mm lens, and you can actually see the cone of light quite nicely, and there's way less noise in this picture, as you would expect, because it's an f-stop lower, so you get more photons, so that it's not as low light, therefore the sensor doesn't show up as much noise, all of that stuff. And I did include 20 darts in these stacks, so I've got rid of quite a lot of noise already. But the top of the cone here is kind of extending off the top of the image, so because the cone is kind of covering a huge chunk of the image, it makes it harder to see in this one than it does in the wide angle lens shot. So the sky just has nicer clarity, the noise level's better, there's definitely ribbons of cloud there. The conditions were awful that night, but you can definitely see it. So once I actually stopped sulking and process these properly, that it's more obvious than it first looks. I'm talking myself into liking these images more the longer time goes on. Now, this is the one with light pollution removal, the one I've just showed you previously, but this is the light pollution removal version. And again, with averted vision, the cone of light is more apparent, but there's all sorts of trippy artifacts in the bottom of the image in the foreground. It's made the ribbon of cloud stand out more. It's just not as pleasing an image to look at, but the zodiacal light is definitely there. Now, when I went back out on the 17th, when we had another much clearer night, I had to go from the garden. As I explained at the beginning of the video, where I live is in a natural bowl shape, so it's really difficult to get the bottom of the cone from anywhere in my garden. So this is the photograph that I took. This doesn't have light pollution removal done to it. This is actually 20 images stacked, and that was with the wide angle lens again, and you can just about see it. Now, the sky was clearly much better this night. There was way less thin cloud, way less all of the artifacts that I was getting, but it's actually harder to see the cone of light. And I think the reason for that is that the brightest bit of it is completely cut off by that bottom foreground. So again, with squinting and averted vision, looking at that picture, you can possibly see something, but really nothing that amazing. So that's the pictures up close. Now, on those two nights, I did actually do some star trails as well. So I will put the star trails photographs at the end of the video and the time lapses of those star trails. They were not particularly long star trails compared to others that I've done, but it was quite nice. As always, when you're out imaging, if your camera's been in one place for very long, then you get the opportunity of doing star trails with the data, and that's awesome. So the other thing that I did is took some long exposure photographs, deliberately trying to catch all the car headlights to get some light trails. But the headlights were really annoying me that night. They were causing me so many problems with my imaging. But when I'd finished photographing the zodiacal light, I tipped the camera down a bit and aligned it and just did some long exposures, just capturing the trails. So I've got 6 pictures that I will put in a slideshow at the end for you to have a look at. They turned out quite nicely. Got a lovely starry sky above some of the obscenely bright headlights, but they're actually quite creative and quite pretty. So I'll put those on first, and then I'll finish up with the star trails that I created on those 2 days. So ultimately, I'm glad I tried this. I did get the zodiacal light. It's my last chance now, unless I want to get up before dawn in the autumn to get it on that side of the sky. I won't be capturing it in the west now until early spring, late winter next year, 2027. So I'm glad I had a go. I'm really pleased that I stuck with it and didn't just delete the images, because I was so grumpy on Saturday night and again after I looked at the images from the 17th. But it worked out okay and I got it, so I'll call that a success. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you photographed or seen the zodiacal light yourself. Did you find it difficult to see? What was your sky like? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.